Well, let us discuss the development of the organisms which are called as the Entamoeba Hystolytica inside the large intestine of the human being, and it completes the life cycle within the woman's body. It is, it is a monogenetic parasite. It depends upon the only one host to complete its life cycle, and that host must be vertebrate. Best example is known as the human being. And that organism first prefers the one host in which it completes its life cycle. Secondly, that can be propagated in two manners. That one reproduces by two ways: asexual, by binary fission, and by multiple fissions. However, by the binary fission, the organism usually reproduces. One parental body would be divided as two halves by mitotical manner. Initially, nucleus is divided off, that is called as karyokinesis. Then it is followed by the cytokinesis. After the completion of the cytokinesis, two daughter cells must be formed from the mother cell. Okay, you select only one daughter cell from the asexual reproduction, which one is called as the daughter trophozoite. It is the early stage, and that one accumulates some nourishment, becoming large and mature trophozoite, and which one is called as magna form. If you refill these two bodies, you mark the here. In daughter trophozoite, in there you can't find the granules or granular vacuoles. You can notice in there. Okay, and in there you find what? The nucleus. In both the cases, you find the nucleus. Vesicular nucleus must be present in there with the chromatin particles and granular particles. Okay. And the entire cytoplasm, which one remaining within the plasma lemma, that one differentiated as the ectoplasm and endoplasm. Ectoplasm is the transparent portion, and endoplasm is the highly pigmented region, and that can be differentiated as your organelles as well as the vacuoles. Organelles means the nucleus, mitochondria, Golgi bodies, endocrine reticulum, glial cells. Like this you find in there. And you mark the ribosomes also be present within it, and mitochondria also there, Golgi bodies also present, and reticulum also be remaining as a network-like structures in there, lysosomes also must be present in there. Okay, and such early form known as the daughter trophozoite. It is a breeding stage. Okay, and that stage in the organism can receive the nourishment from its surroundings. Then it will become what? Adult. The adult trophozoite form, which one is called as a magna form, in their granules or granular vacuoles will be noticed. Okay, and it also possesses one finger-like projection, which one is called as logopodium, and such projection also be called as the pseudopodium. Logopodium, otherwise called as pseudopodium. It will be held in the displacement. Okay, it is one advanced organelle of this animal at the stage of the mature or adult trophozoite form. And by the trophozoite coming to the free cystic form, that is called as minuta form. In there it is more or less spherically in form. Pseudopodia also withdrawn in there. It will not take the food in that time. Okay, before the forming cyst, you find this stage. So it is very dense form, no doubt, and that is called as pre-cystic form and minuta form. But when the time cyst comes to its body, in that time the situation is not favorable for the organism to sustain in that environment. In that time, one cyst wall would be enclosed the entire contents of the organism. Okay, that is called as cyst wall. This one, which remains in the periphery, just above the plasma membrane. That is called as cyst. Okay, under the process of encystmentation, there is cyst wall will be formed in there. That is called as encystation. Okay, under encystation, the cystic enclosure will be formed in there, and the organism also possessing well differentiated granules and your granular vacuoles, and you also find in there the well differentiated nucleus. Okay, and it will be prepared for the kinesis, and then you see just after some days or some time, then you find that nucleus, which one is single initially in the beginning of the cystic form, will be divided as the two daughter nuclei under the process of mitosis, which one is called as nuclear division. That is also called as karyokinesis. But cyst must be persisting there. Cyst must be there. Under cyst, the nucleus will be divided initially as two daughter nuclei. Okay? In this case, that cyst form is called as binucleate cyst form or binucleate cyst. Then, after some days, it will be changed to another form. In there, instead of the two daughter nuclei, you find four daughter nuclei in there. Okay? You find in there four daughter nuclei. You see, in there you find four daughter nuclei, but they will be divided mitotically, and instead of the two, first nucleus is comprising the two end chromosomes. It will be divided off by mitotical division and gives two daughter nuclei. Each one carries the same two end number of chromosomes. Okay? Then finally it will again divide off and you find four daughter nuclei. All divisions are mitotical divisions. Simply these are the mitotical divisions, and four daughter nuclei ultimately form in the air. Okay? And in that time, you can say that is called as quadrinucleate cyst. Quadrinucleate cyst. Quadrinucleate also be called as tetranucleate cyst. Tetra means four, quadri means four. That is called as quadrinucleate cyst. And after the completion of these four daughter nuclei, in that time it is going to be ready to separate the cyst wall from its body. Okay? The cyst which are enclosed to it, that will be degenerate. And it will be what? It will be carrying four different nuclei in its cytoplasm. and then you find in there, this is the cyst, which one enclosed to the body of the Entamoeba, which one carrying the prototype nuclei. All are the nucleus, in plurally called as nuclei. Okay? And here you find nuclei. How much? 4. Here you find 4 nuclei. It represents the 4 nuclei. You can say in pluralist nuclei, what in the what you in singular term you can say nucleus, 4 different nucleus. Okay, in there you find 2, here you find 4. But here the body, which one generally carries the, instead of the 4, it would be laterally would be 8 in there. In this stage it will be divided off. It comes out from the cyst. That is called as excitation. Okay. Excitation means it can separate or liberate the cyst from its body. Okay, and in that time it comes to the outside. Immediately it will be divided off in third vertical division and gives off 8 data nuclei. Eight other nuclei generally present in there. In that stage, it will be separated off. Cytokinesis occurs in that time. Okay, you find 1 and 2 nuclei. Here you find 1, 2, 3, and 4. But in here you find the same 1, 2, 3, 4. But here you find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 nuclei generally formed from the 4 daughter nuclei. Glycogens, there are elements in there, and food factors usually present in the trophoid stage as a well-developed man that would not remain in the growing time or development stage, and they will be appear at the later. Okay, and you see 4 individual daughter cells will be arising from the octant form. That is called as octant nuclei. Octa means 8. Octant nuclei. Nuclei or nucleate. Nuclei or nucleate. Nucleate cyst. Right, exist. Okay, that means after it gives up the 8 amoebulae. The young amoeba would be called as amoebulae. How much? 8. Okay? And each one carries one daughter nucleus with all advanced cell organelle. Okay? And in this form, again it will be continued as a cyclic manner in the same organism. But if the cyst will be damaged from its body, it will not remain in the same body, but it will be passed to the another new host. Okay? Otherwise it will be damaged or in the air or destroyed. Okay? But if there is no existence in there, it will be divided off and also remaining as a amoebular form with cover, with cyst. And that is the definition in there. Okay? And this is the total description regarding the your life history of the Amoeba histolytica. Entamoeba histolytica is one parasite form, but Amoeba protista, or you can say that your Amoeba proteus, and that one is one free living organism. Okay, and this is the deviation in between these two, Entamoeba and Amoeba. Sometimes people are saying it is one type of Amoeba. Its behavior, all of respects, the same with it. So this species also be called as amoebic species, and it causes the dysentery that is called as amoebic dysentery. But name of this animal is called as Entamoeba histolytica. Okay, let us discuss about the infections which one causes the amoebic dysentery or amoebiasis. First, you know about the symptoms and pathogenesis. Symptoms and pathogenesis. As already noted, the Entamoeba histolytica lives in the lumen of the large intestine of a man as a harmless minutiforms, and whenever the resistance of God is lowered in infected people, and these become pathogenic and change to the magna form. From minor to again comes to the magna form and invade the intestinal wall, and they make their way deep into the submucosa. You know, the mucosa or mucosa epithelial layer will be remaining, the inner lining layer of the lumen of the alimentary canal, and due to invaded to it, it can cross through the mucosa wall and finally to reach at the submucosa. Under the mucosa, you find the submucosa is present, and it also embedded into there. And submucosa usually constituted by the loose connective tissue. In there, you find the lymphatic vessels, blood vessels, nerve fibers, etc. Okay, and they make their way deep into the submucosa by eating through the mucosa of the intestinal wall, and here they multiply by the binary fission. Okay, and spread radially outward from the flax-shaped ulcers and containing cellular debris. The lymphocytes, blood capsules, and bacteria would be what? Would be damaged in their activity. You see in that side, lymphocytes and blood corpuscles and the bacteria, if they are present in there, they will be destroyed by them, and this causes the formation of the abscess in the intestinal wall, and penetration into the submucosa by the trophozoites is made up of the possible by the histolysis, damage the tissue mass in there, as well as the cytosis. Okay, and cytolysis mechanism also be completed in there. That means it can destroy the not only tissue, it will also destroy the cells. If the cells and tissue are damaged by them, and that one also be called as the parasitic natures of the organisms. And if destroyed the tissue mass, called as histolysis. If destroyed the cell mass, that is called as cytolysis. And this type of species generally damage to the tissues as well as the cells, so that one is called as the histolysis as well as also we called as cytolysis. The mechanism of involves the dissolutions of the necrosis of the tissues and cells by the proteolytic enzymes, the nature of the histolysins secreted by the trophozoites themselves as some mucosa is eroded. Okay, and what happened? The blood must be oozed out from that site and the ulcer will be fatal. The ulcers burst and blood capillaries ruptures. Blood and the ulcer contains what? Mucus, cell debris, blood corpuscles, bacteria and amoebae and pour into the lumen of the intestine and passes outside with the stool. In that time, blood oozes out with the stool. And this is the characterizes the amoebic dysentery or amoebiasis. The stool of the dysentery persons is usually acidic and consists of the swarms of the Entamoeba as well as, and persons are suffering from the amoebic dysentery and repeated blood mixed and slamming on foul swelling motions and is confined to the laboratory. Okay, and sometimes the trophozoite makes their way through the blood circulation into the brain, liver, spleen, lungs and gonads. And here also they destroy the tissues and causes the formation of abscess or the cavities containing the pus. The affected liver becomes enlarged and congested. They are painful to touch, and this pathological condition is referred to as amoebic hepatitis. The amoebic hepatitis and is a very serious disease to the human being, and formation of abscesses in lungs and brain usually prove the